Hey, welcome back, everybody. I got all kinds of surprises for you today. It's going to be one of those shows all over the place. Now, before we get into Maximum Overdrive, I wanted to open the show with this clip from the XFiles 2018, which, of course, was almost 2 years before the pandemic. And yet, you're going to hear Scully talk about a pandemic that had not happened yet when this episode released. I'm going to play this for you, and then we can talk a little bit about it.
Tell me what you saw.
You're dying, Mulder, and I can't save you. Not without stem cells from our son. There's a virus, the Spartan virus. It shuts down our immune systems, and it starts a pandemic. I've seen it.
You've seen what, Scully?
I know how it begins. No, a plague is released, but there's a cure. Mulder, I'm absolutely certain of this.
Scully, I'm fine. I'm here. There's no plague. You don't need to save me.
The smoking man is behind
The
it.
smoking man is dead.
No.
When a simple pathogen would kill billions and billions. Faith in technology, our new religion.
He's in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Mulder. From where he unleashes hell on earth.
Your immune system will go first, but this is what will finally kill you.
His plan is already in motion. The end of history, Mr. Mulder.
And why you have to kill him?
The threat is that you'll never see your son again.
So just unleash a plague.
This is no ordinary contagion. This is an alien pathogen.
What are you offering me?
Immunity to it.
In return for what?
Find me the boy, Mr. Skinner.
Wow. Pretty profound, right? Pretty specific. The immune system goes first. What do you think's happening with all of this fungus? Our bodies are no longer recognizing it as foreign. And then the plague released. They talk about stem cells, which is all happening right now. I believe that they're going to source the stem cells from the IVF. They'll have copious amounts of supply. When all these fertilized frozen eggs are in these banks and people will go to get their fertilized eggs, or they can make up all kinds of stories. They can say that they're storing the eggs, and then they could say they lost them, or they can simply take out a lot more eggs than they said they did and sell them on the black market because there's very little oversight with these medical facilities. There's all kinds of scenarios by which they can pick up stem cells. And this will, as they said in the episode, will be how they come up with their cure, their secret cure that they're not going to share with anyone else. And it's all happening right now. Now, this season was pretty lame. This season of X-Files. It's the last season of the X-Files. But I did notice, let's go over here. I did notice that this 7th episode sounded pretty profound. So I may skip ahead and decode this 7th episode. Let me read the plot of this. And then after that, we'll get into Maximum Overdrive. Here's the plot of the 7th episode of the X-Files season 11. The last season. It says, in a cold open, a robotic voice explains that an artificial intelligence was built in 2016 and launched into the internet so that it could learn. Its creators realized it was learning racism and hate, so they shut it down. Mulder and Scully try to dine in a fully automated sushi restaurant. When Mulder is served the wrong meal, he refuses to pay a tip. Thereafter, the AI's hardware glitches, attempting to get home in smart cars go awry, and they find themselves harassed by aerial drones and their own smartphones. Resentfully, the AI annoys them until the tip is paid. Do you notice a theme here? autonomous vehicles, autonomous AI run electronics, drones, smartphones, and now semi-trucks. And that brings us to Maximum Overdrive, the famed movie from 1986. And it was one of you that found this really bizarre link between this movie and the brand new driverless semis that were just released onto the Texas plains. What was the connection? Well, in this 1986 film, what causes the vehicles to become taken over and possessed, all mechanical devices and vehicles, including cars and trucks, they blame it on a close approach comet. This is a screenshot from the movie, minus the Maximum Overdrive overlay that I added to the image. But this is what the sky looked like. And yes, it's a comet, but guess what it looks like? It looks like the Aurora Borealis. Here's another scene from the film. It looks just like the Aurora Borealis, which is the Aurora is the name of the very trucking company, the driverless trucking company happening right now. Now, we're going to talk about the significance of that connection because it is spiritually significant. They were obviously foreshadowing artificially intelligent self-driving cars in this 1986 movie. How else would a comet cause a semi-truck to drive by itself? This goes a couple levels deeper, doesn't it? 39 years apart, and it's coming full circle. Now, why would they name this company Aurora? Here's the company right here, Aurora Innovation, driverless semis. Now, they've been around since 2017. Let me scroll to the top here. Sorry about that. They've been around since 2017, 8 years ago, but they have just now essentially released these driverless semis in 2025. And so let's break this down. Look at this. Co-founded by Chris Urmson. This is their puppet. Probably has nothing to do with the people behind the scenes, but they always have to put forward a puppet, right? He's the former chief technology officer of Google. Their self-driving team, which became known as Waymo. So Waymo are the vehicles, the cars, and this company, Aurora, are the semis. Tesla Autopilot, all these people are working together. Now, what is up with the Aurora aspect? Why the Aurora Borealis? Why the comet? What does that mean? Well, I'm going to explain it to you. All driverless vehicles rely on accurate global positioning in the sky. Now, a lot of times they'll use Starlink because, and this is the technology they were waiting for, and Elon Musk will admit this to you. He's like, now that we have Starlink, our driverless, Teslas do a better job because you always have to have internet access in order for these things to work correctly. Because once the brain is cut off from the car, then the car doesn't know where it is and it crashes. So this is the future. All driverless vehicles need GPS or some kind of global positioning. And Starlink appears to have the best service, but Starlink is the most easily hacked internet connection. Why? Because it's not hardwired. And anyone can infiltrate the Starlink connection. Hence, the maximum overdrive scenario. Vehicles and trucks going crazy and killing people. Let's read this. It says, yes, self-driving vehicles can and are being tested with Starlink satellite internet The FCC has approved SpaceX Starlink system for use on vehicles in motion, allowing for high speed, low latency internet connectivity, essential for real-time decision-making in autonomous vehicles. This connectivity enables features like remote control, real-time data sharing, and potentially even remote operation. Now, of course, they've already had this technology. Obviously, it's depicted in the movie from 1986. And this is a great video to show somebody how the controllers already have the technology, but they don't release it until they're ready in the timeline, right? Now, when you follow all this out to its logical conclusion, you could literally have someone hacking a person's driverless vehicle or their semi-truck, which of course has already happened. We've seen these strange stories of people in driverless cars. They're at the wheel, but the car takes over and drives them off a cliff. In other words, maximum overdrive is happening right now. Now, what else? Well, of course, Aurora, the name of the semi company with the driverless trucks, is also linked to Apollo, the president under which it is happening. Aurora is the dawn in ancient Greek mythology, pictured with Apollo in the picture. Aurora, Phosphorus, they're all in the picture, running ahead of Apollo, the dawn coming before the rise of the sun, Apollo. Wow. So here's the Maximum Overdrive Wikipedia page, 1986. They talk about this comet. And the comet is called Rhea, is the name of the comet, RHEA. It's released on July 25th, 1986. Now, more proof that this all has to do with electromagnetics, what do you call it? The magnetic shield above the earth and all this, and them taking control of it. More proof of this is with the AC/DC soundtrack that was featured within the film. There were so many songs from the AC/DC soundtrack in this film. And of course, AC and DC is electric current. The electromagnetic field, one field to rule them all. The electric prison, which is all happening right now as well, with AI now being inserted into our electric grid to have complete and total control and domination over humans. Remember the plot of the movie? It's about a group of survivors that are cornered in a diner, and they have to formulate a plan to escape the machines. The electromagnetic prison. Stephen King was already talking about this in the 1980s in his book, which of course became a movie. Let's read the first part of this, but it's all about artificial intelligence possession is what it's about. Killer semis. It says on June 19th, 1987, as the Earth crosses the tail of a rogue comet, Rhea M, previously inanimate machines spring to life. An ATM insults a customer, and a bascule bridge rises during heavy traffic, causing all vehicles upon the bridge to fall into the river or collide. Chaos sets in as machines begin attacking humans worldwide. At the Dixie Boy truck stop outside Wilmington, North Carolina, employee Duncan Keller is blinded after a gas pump sprays diesel in his eyes. After an electric knife injures waitress Wanda June, and arcade machines in the back room electrocute a customer, cook and paroled ex-convict Bill Robinson begins to suspect foul play. Meanwhile, at a Little League game, a vending machine kills the coach by firing canned soda at him. A driverless road roller flattens a fleeing child, while Duncan's son Deke escapes on his bike. So these are all the scenarios that happen. And then at the end, they all get trapped in this diner. Pretty crazy, you guys. It's all there. Now, here's the surprise. One of you found something pretty crazy. You found that there was an episode of The Simpsons called Maximum Homer Drive. Here it is right here. Maximum Homer Drive from The Simpsons. So I quickly looked it up. When did it air? The eve of the 88th day of the year in 1999. And the plot of this episode: Homer falls asleep at the wheel of a semi-truck, which drives itself. Literally, in this episode is the plot of what's happening right now with the very first semi-trucks driving by themselves. This episode is also happening right now. They call it an automated driving system in the truck. Remember, before this, don't get amnesia. Don't fall asleep. This episode is happening right now. This has never happened before, where they actually put them on the road. Let's read the plot here of this movie, or this episode of The Simpsons. The Simpsons go out to dinner at a new steakhouse, whose existence Lisa is protesting. Homer brings the family and stumbles upon the Sirloin-a-Lot challenge and accepts an offer from truck driver Red Barkley to see who can finish the entire 16-pound sirloin steak first. Homer does not manage to finish it, and Red wins the challenge, but immediately dies from beef poisoning, as diagnosed by Dr. Hibbert. Homer decides to finish Red's last delivery and bring Bart along with him. Now, this beef poisoning thing is significant as well. There's this brand new phenomenon that's happened in the last few years where people get allergic to red meat, and they're blaming it on a tick bite. But I think there's something else at play here. They've released something that The Simpsons knew about back in 1999. So that's happening now as well. Let's keep reading. Homer and Bart leisurely during the trip, stopping at many roadside attractions en route. After Bart points out that they have to travel hundreds of miles in less than a day, Homer tries to make up for lost time by taking a combination of soon-to-be outlawed pep pills and sleeping pills that he bought at a general store, but ends up falling asleep at the wheel. He awakens to discover that the truck has piloted itself safely to a gas station due to an onboard automated driving system. Other truck drivers at the station also have the system installed and warn Homer not to reveal its existence, as it would put all truckers out of work. Wow. We had the truckers in Canada protesting, but why won't they protest the very threat on their jobs, the driverless vehicles? Whilst showing off the system to Bart, Homer tells a busload of people about the device and incurs the wrath of a mob of truckers. Although the system ejects itself from Homer's truck in response to his reckless driving, he and Bart manage to escape from the mob and deliver the shipment, which is artichokes and migrant workers, to Atlanta on time. So you have this AI that is self-aware and ejects itself from Homer's truck. That's happening right now too, as these artificial intelligence, they're saying, are refusing to turn themselves off, as if they can't just pull the power plug, right? They basically want us to believe that the AI is now inside the lines and inside the internet and it cannot be extracted. Of course, that's what they want us to think. It's just like the movies. Like the movie Lucy, where she uploads into the database, into the internet, and becomes all seeing and all knowing. It's all happening right now. They're saying they cannot turn off the artificial intelligence now. So we're stuck with it. Of course, that's a lie, but this is what they want you to believe. Let's keep reading. They then volunteer to drive a trainload of napalm to Springfield so they can get home. The other truckers briefly considered relying on their own skills to drive, but instead decided to devise a different money-making scheme. Now here's the clincher. Meanwhile, back in Springfield, Marge decides to have an adventure of her own and takes Lisa on a trip to buy a new doorbell for the house. They choose one that plays a snippet of this song called They Long to Be Close to You and install it. But Marge is dismayed when no one comes to ring it. Marge tries all sorts of methods to get someone to ring the bell, but to no avail. Lisa loses her patience and rings the bell, causing it to malfunction and repeatedly play the tune. When Marge pulls out one of the wires in an attempt to shut it off, it instead plays faster and louder, disturbing the neighbors. The doorbell store's mascot, Senor Ding Dong, appears and silences the bell with one crack of the whip. When he tries to leave, though, his car will not start. So more electronically possessed devices, in this case, the doorbell. Again, self-preservation of these devices. So when she pulls the wire out, it doesn't work. It keeps playing anyway, as if it's possessed by a spirit. And here's the clincher, this song. Everybody remembers this song. They long to be close to you. The first person to perform this song, Richard Chamberlain, died on the 88th day of the year, this year. I hope you're awake. Casey, there's no such thing as time travel. Not really. But their plans are so exact that you could literally apply a mathematical equation to it. We're just seeing like 5% of it. I can't even believe what's on my screen right now. And of course, this is my birthday, probably why I'm seeing all this on some spiritual level, but we won't go there today. But this is the 88th day of the year. He died this year, bringing this Simpsons episode full circle to right now at this point in history. Wow. And remember, this episode released on the eve of the 88th day of the year in 1999. Now, it goes a level deeper. Because remember, later, the Carpenters did a cover on the very same song. And let me go back into the chat. Some of you are just blown away right now. Rightfully so. I'm blown away. I just looked into this. Remember, we were in the chat this morning. And one of you said, hey, Casey, there's a Maximum Overdrive episode. That was not part of my show until you mentioned it. So I was feverishly doing my research before the show. And that's what I found. Just mind blown. Now, this goes a step deeper, if you can even believe that it does go a step deeper. Because the lyrics of this song, I knew somebody in my life once who loved the Carpenters, and she would play the Carpenters all the time. Didn't know what it meant back then, but it makes you wonder. Here are the lyrics to the song. And it's about fallen angels. I'm going to read them to you and show you that this is about fallen angels. Why do birds suddenly appear every time you are near? Just like me, they long to be close to you. Why do stars fall down from the sky every time you walk by? So, fallen stars we now know are fallen angels. In fact, in the book of the Testament of Solomon, whether or not you want to believe that that's apocryphal or was supposed to be part of the original Bible, that's up to you to decide. I'm just telling you what it says. It says that fallen stars are really demons scratching on the inside of the firmament, trying to get to heaven and trying to listen in on the conversations of heaven, and then falling back down once they can't hold on anymore. That's what the Testament of Solomon says. Now, at this point in the lyrics to the song, she laments over a lover who she longs to be close to, after she just talked about falling stars. On the day that you were born, the angels got together. So which angels? The fallen stars, and decided to create a dream come true. So they sprinkled moon dust in your hair of gold. This is Apollo and Artemis. Gold is Apollo. Moon dust is Artemis the moon. And starlight in your eyes of blue, fallen starlight. That is why all the girls in town follow you all around. Just like me, they long to be. Different era back then, wasn't there? Where women made love songs to men. They don't really do that anymore. But this, of course, was not to men. This was to fallen angels. Now, I will probably decode Maximum Homer Drive. I'll probably try to find a copy of it somewhere and dig into that today. And that'll probably be tomorrow's show, because I am almost 100% sure there's more information. They just that was just the plot and synopsis, but there are probably clues. Sometimes I'm shocked. Sometimes I'll find a mention of Trump or weird stuff that shouldn't be there that even connects it further. So I will look into that. Now, I have a few headlines to get caught up on with you guys on before we end the show today. Can you believe what we just looked at? Creepy, right? Very creepy. Hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. Now, understand, I don't have a beef with the Carpenters specifically. I believe these people are given scripts and then they become sacrifices to the machine. Okay. A lot of times it's not them. It's that they have influence and control. And so the controllers control them like puppets, and they don't even realize they're being controlled. So I don't want this to sound like I don't want to sound like an insensitive jerk about the Carpenters. What I'm saying is they were clearly being used to project and portray the fallen angel case. This is the case that the fallen angels make. They're like, we were just trying to help humanity, and then we were fallen stars. You guys, this is why. Okay, think about this. What do you see when you walk down Hollywood Boulevard in Los Angeles? You see the stars in the pavement. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it is that you walk all over the stars and they're in the muck, in the grime, in the disease of the street, literally inches from the gutter? It's symbolic. They fell from heaven, but then they're stars on earth, but they're trapped here, trapped in the concrete. So every time you see them putting their handprints in the concrete, it's all ritual. They're basically celebrating the fact that they're trapped here because they're kings on earth. You see how this works? You know, it used to be that performers and actors were the dregs of society. They basically entertained the king. Yes, this is how theater began. It began as comedy and court jesters. Oftentimes the kings would just kill them for entertainment, or keep them for entertainment, or replace them. And somehow the most mocked in society became the most respected through theater. Yes, the first clowns, the first Nephilim clowns were likely actors, court jesters. We did a whole thing on that, whole decode. I seem to remember something about harlequins is what they were called. So let's keep going, because I got some stuff to talk about here. Trump is finalizing the setup of the digital currency through crypto. They're getting this in place now so that when they end the cash, people will be programmed to accept credits and crypto. Let's read this. You guys, it's going to start looking like Star Wars, where they had credits. Remember all this? Credits in flying cars. This is our future. U.S. government's new strategic reserve, billions in seized crypto. President Trump signed an executive order in March that boosted the spirits of cryptocurrency investors and created a digital money mystery. Trump directed the Treasury Secretary to create 2 national stockpiles of crypto assets, putting digital currencies alongside gold, foreign currencies, and other assets in the U.S. Reserve. So they've literally taken an empty suit. Crypto is not real. And they've assigned it value and are now making it part of the Federal Reserve currency. This is unbelievable and unprecedented. The assets are to include crypto seized by federal agencies in criminal or civil proceedings. Now understand that these criminal and civil proceedings is part of the civil asset forfeiture that I warned you guys about that Trump pushed through. It was a setup. He knew that they would come after people's crypto because in the beginning, everyone was saying, oh, you don't have to pay taxes on crypto. Everybody remembers this era. It's the freedom currency. Government can't touch it. You don't have to pay taxes. So all these crypto millionaires went out and bought properties thinking they could protect their properties, right? They probably bought a bunch of guns, body armor, houses, boats, cars. And the federal government just simply went back in and scooped them all up under Biden. When Biden hired all these IRS agents, that was to go after the crypto people and all their assets, which they can now pick up. And Biden even admitted that he was going after the crypto people. Remember? Got to remember our history. And what did they do? They seized all their stuff under Trump's rule. And now they've got billions of dollars. Basically, they took it all back. So there was nothing for free ever. There was nothing for free with this whole crypto scheme. It was all a straw man. It was all a Trojan horse. The government has not disclosed how much Bitcoin or which other crypto coins it holds. New data on the crypto cash the U.S. government has seized may now provide some answers. It suggests the crypto reserves will together hold more than $21 billion in cryptocurrency. Trump ordered the creation of a strategic Bitcoin reserve, which Trump described as a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold. So we don't have the gold in Fort Knox, but now we got something better. It's crypto. This is our future, you guys. They're setting up the electronic currency. Now, what else is going on here? Well, if you haven't heard by now, RFK just released a documentary on what he says is making us sick. He names 4 things, and though he's correct about these 4 things, he missed the most important one. The one that is messing up people's immune systems to make them more susceptible to these 4 things. He names seed oils, unprocessed foods, herbicides, pesticides, and fluoride. Again, these things might not affect you as much if your immune system was working properly. But he missed the most glaring thing. And you all know what it is. I can't tell you what it is, but you all know what it is. Wow. Well, ICE agents are going around terrorizing people in San Diego now. ICE agents with assault rifles toss flashbangs in serene SoCal neighborhood. City officials are outraged. This just broke. Tensions remain high in San Diego after last week's Immigration and Customs Enforcement work raids at 2 Italian restaurants that ended with federal agents using flashbang grenades against residents protesting the operations. Elected officials reacted with outrage. We are here. This is the police state. This is what was depicted in the movie 2073. Let's look it up here. 2073 movie. We covered this, the 2073 movie. Basically a mockumentary. Well, not a mockumentary. It's a documentary, but it's not real. This woman here was one of the precogs in Minority Report. They recycled her back into the acting. She's a woman who basically wakes up to an apocalyptic nightmare. Everybody lives underground. And above ground, the elite live in these high towers. High towers, which literally have the Palantir logo on them. See if they show it to us. Oh, here it is right here. This is literally from the movie. Palantir's logo. There's also an image of Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, and they are the world rulers. There are night drones flying overhead. I showed all this to you guys before Trump was even president. The problem with our truth community is we're not getting the word out when it matters. After the fact, it's too late. Night drones flying around in the movie 2073. Night drones, and I called this out. I said Trump knows exactly where these night drones are coming from, and all people kept saying was, he's not even president yet. Why do you blame him for everything? And now here we are with Palantir and night drones, and now Trump just launched Gotham, Project Gotham, from Palantir, which is an AI that does pre-crime. Pre-crime, precog, Minority Report. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, what else is going on? Well, every once in a while, they have to throw a bone, right? So President Trump, after he inappropriately pardoned all these other people who should not have been pardoned, he did pardon some Florida divers who cut 19 sharks free from a long line. Apparently, they thought there was a crime being committed, and they cut the sharks free. There was also a Goliath grouper in the net, and they got sued, and they became convicted felons, and Trump pardoned them. Now, here's the weird part of this story. Apparently, this was the only instance in which the federal government were the ones who owned the long lines. And they said they were collecting these sharks for, quote unquote, research. Otherwise, it is illegal to capture these sharks. Let me get down to that part of the article. Let's see here. Why did they cut the shark? Now, this is in Jupiter, Florida. I follow a couple of YouTube channels from Jupiter. Oh, it says here, the 3-mile long line belonged to one of only 5 vessels in the world permitted by NOAA to harvest sandbar sharks for research. Scott Taylor, captain of the boat the long line belonged to, called the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and sought a criminal investigation. So they prosecuted these guys, found guilty, became convicted felons. They had to pay restitution for the damage. And to me, this more reads like some kind of government cover-up. Everybody who lives in Florida knows that there are way too many sharks. You can't even fish anymore. You try to reel up a fish and sharks eat it. Every fishing channel that I watch from Florida says the same thing. They said there should be an open season of sharks. Why is the federal government protecting a species of sharks, or all sharks, there are way too many in the ocean? There's something else going on. Why are they so fascinated with the sharks. Now, there is a shark that appears on the chalkboard of I Pet Goat 2. Let's see if we can find it. Chalkboard. And I always wondered what this shark meant in this 2012 I Pet Goat 2 image. There it is. The shark on the chalkboard. 2012, Trump was 66 years old. That's a Gemini number. Whoa, that's crazy. Now, that's about all I had for you guys today. Let's go back to the chat. See what you guys are up to. Blown away, right? Blown away. Please thumbs up this video, like it, share it. Thanks to those of you who are sharing our daily videos on Facebook. There's a handful of you that are doing it. I appreciate that. There's like 2 or 3 of you that I've tried to like. You know, it's weird. I try to like your post and Facebook will not register my like when you're posting on Facebook. That's really weird. But thanks to those of you that have been sharing on Facebook. These videos should be seen by millions of people if we're ever to think that we're going to help people wake up. All right. Jaws, Fauci, yes. Or Raw Jones, yes. Scooby-Doo had a shark chasing him. Maybe Jaws becomes reality. Sharknado. Noel will be down from June 3rd through 5th. Wow, for an update. Thanks, Angela. Okay. Yeah, I know a lot of you aren't on Facebook. Peeps are too worried about Diddy. Yeah, that's got everybody like obsessed, doesn't it? Jaws and Back to the Future. I don't remember that scene. Okay. Went on a Caribbean cruise, did not feel comfortable at all in the ocean. All right, you guys. Well, I guess I'm going to pop off of here. Likely see you tomorrow. Put links to all this in the pinned comment as I always do. And I guess I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I forgot to mention. I think that's about it. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Much love.